Donald Trump is a confirmed speaker at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville this year, which is certainly bullish for Bitcoin. But regardless of whether Trump is elected or not, does a politician actually solve our biggest problems? We explore why money trumps laws and why we need an entirely new system to get us out of this mess. Welcome to Bitcoin Daily. I'm Dante Cook, head of Swan Business.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
Every day since we've seen this video from Donald Trump, we've been wondering, was this just a ploy to gain attention and votes from crypto voters, or was it actually real? Given that now he's a headline speaker for the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, it turns out there's some real validity behind this. But the question remains, does solving the elected official problem solve the underlying problem that we all face? Jeff Booth does an incredible job of explaining the underlying issues of the current system in his book, The Price of Tomorrow, as well as in this latest interview that he had with Natalie Brunell.
So if we've never had something decentralized and secure until Bitcoin, then we always had to trust in organizations or say the Magna Carta or the Constitution to protect us from the state becoming too big. And those pieces of paper delivered to thriving societies because they enshrined individual rights and freedoms the way the world should work. And where people were free and able to contribute, they had better ideas. They weren't stuck in systems. They had better ideas to give more value, which was the free market. And that was, and we live on top of a lot of those ideas that we don't even think about today. But what ends up happening is money is superordinate to law. So money is at a higher abstraction rate, right, to law. It's higher in level. And what you can see is those laws get changed over time to protect the money, right? The abusers of money. And by the way, you could just do the counterfactual on it, and you could say where money is most broken, what do the laws look like to protect people? And you can see what ends up happening. So you can see today in the U.S. the Constitution and rights and freedoms that were protected are being slowly whittled away with new laws to protect them and spying on citizens, and all of these things are becoming okay. And they're and it's a gradual creep of this control system because money is superordinate to law, because no one would, if they knew how important money was, right, into their laws, they wouldn't be focused on the laws, they would be focused on the money.
We must understand that the government apparatus has gotten too large and it's metastasizing, eating all of the good laws, the freedoms, the good leaders, and the good rules that we put in place in the first place. There's an old quote floating out there from Warren Buffett this week saying exactly how he would solve the government spending problem from about 20 years ago. Listen to this clip.
I can end the deficit in 5 minutes.
How?
You just pass a law that says that anytime there's a deficit of more than 3% of GDP, all sitting members of Congress are ineligible for re-election. Yeah. Now you've got the incentives in the right place, right? So it's capable of being done.
It's good in theory, and it's great on paper. But here's the issue. The people in Congress would never pass this law. They would simply change the law and bend the rules to protect themselves, which leads us to how we've gotten to the point where we are now. In the United States alone, we have over $34 trillion of debt. 14 trillion is public debt, over 20 trillion is the government's debt, and worldwide, global debt is over 90 trillion. Listen to this interaction between Senator John Kennedy and Philip Swagel, the director of the Congressional Budget Office for the United States government, talking about the debt problem out loud.
Mr. Director, what's the national debt right now?
Well, I'm
We project at the end of this year, it's going to be over $28.1 trillion.
28 trillion. What percentage of GDP is that?
It's just under 100%.
Could you speak into the mic and
Yep,
repeat that?
it's just under 100% of GDP.
Okay. And for this current fiscal year, will we have spending deficits?
Yes, sir. We're looking at about a $2 trillion deficit this year.
And that means that we've spent $2 trillion more than we took in, right?
That's right.
So we've had to borrow money.
That's right. That's right. The debt is going up.
And so that money that we borrowed increases the amount of national debt, doesn't it?
That's right. And it means more interest payments, which then goes back and means more debt. So there's a negative cycle attached to it.
Okay. So our current national debt is over 100% of our economy. It's $28 trillion. Mm-hmm. Let's suppose that we think in 10-year windows, as you know. Let's suppose nothing changes over the next 10 years. Nothing. We don't renew the tax cuts. Nothing changes. What's the debt going to be 10 years from now?
Right. So our projection is then over $50 trillion or over 122% of GDP.
Yeah. Well, damn, looks to me like we better do something.
So you're telling me we would need to cut spending 7 to 8% a year, which we know would never happen, just to stabilize our debt problem, let alone pay it off and actually make progress on the debt that we already have outstanding. We all know that this will never happen. So what are we going to do? We're going to continue to elect officials and pretend that they're our saviors, kick the can down the road to future generations, or are we actually going to try to come up with a better system, a better solution? I'm honestly waiting for people to give me legitimate forms and legitimate solutions for how we can get out of this mess that we're in. The only reasonable solution and way that I see of getting out of World War III, worldwide calamity, or complete collapse of the system is building an alternative system peacefully that can actually leverage assets and the good things from our old system and bring them into a new system, a system that is not without rules, a system that is not without laws, but it's governed by rules and laws that we all can subscribe to, that won't be changed, that won't be manipulated. It's called Bitcoin. The guy who photobombed Janet Yellen's Senate hearing 7 years ago today had the right idea. We don't have to riot out in the streets in order to fund this alternative system. We can just simply do it by dollar cost averaging through tools like Swan.com, where you can set up an automated DCA, which takes money from your bank account and allows you to stack sats or fund the revolution peacefully. Or you can keep hoping that a political candidate is going to get us out of the inflation, debt, and global crisis that we're in right now. I know which system that I'll be putting my money and energy towards. And with that, we're signing off for the day. This is Dante Cook with Swan.com. Happy stacking.